One of the best ways to measure the volatility of a stock or security is to calculate the beta value. In this video, I'm going to share with you how it is that you can calculate the beta value on Excel, and most importantly, how you can use this information to make good investment decisions. And if you stay until the end, I'm going to share with you how you can get this value for many different stocks all at once. Okay, so when it comes to the beta calculation on Excel, the most important thing to talk about is what is beta in the first place. So beta is basically how closely a particular security like a stock or an ETF follows the direction of a specific index, or in this case, this is sometimes referred to as the market. So the market could be an index like the S&P 500, it could also be like the Dow Jones. Those are different indexes that you can use to calculate the beta. And beta essentially measures the volatility of that particular stock compared to the direction of that particular index. When it comes to what direction that we're talking about, here we're talking about the price change. That is the direction that we talk about. So there's two ways of calculating beta. The most common way is this one that you can see. So the beta formula is equal to the covariance between the market, which is signified as M, versus E, which is that particular security that you're analyzing. So that could be like Apple stock. The variance, on the other hand, in this case, it's only calculated for the market. So you calculate the covariance of these two values and you divide it by the variance of just the market. That gives you the beta formula. There's another method which is also known as the slope method, and the way that you perform this method, we're gonna do it step by step so you'll be able to see how it is actually performed on Excel. The same method will also apply to Google Sheets. The way it works and the gist of it is very simple. You take the percentage change of that particular security, stock, or ETF, and then you take the slope of the price change with the slope of that particular index that you're analyzing. So in this case is the Nasdaq, so you take the slope of the two different price changes, and that essentially gives you the beta. Once you calculate the beta, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about what the beta actually means. Like, what does it mean, for example, when you have a beta of 1 versus a beta of 1.3? So that's something that we're gonna talk about, but first we're gonna get into calculating the beta for some particular companies. Okay, so now that you know all the important information about the beta, what we're gonna do is we're gonna calculate the beta value for a very familiar company, and that is Apple. However, we could realistically change Apple to any other company, and I'm gonna do that later on. So that way you can see that it's possible to calculate this value for any company or ETF that you'd like to do it. So the first thing that you need to do is, I've actually set up this template right here, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna copy this right here so we're ready. And the first thing that is necessary for you to calculate the beta is to get the necessary data that you need to be able to calculate the beta. The necessary data that you need is the stock price data for that particular company as well as the market. So Apple, you already know, this is the company ticker. This, on the other hand, is the ticker for the S&P 500 on Yahoo Finance. This could be different depending on how you're accessing the data. The way that I recommend that you access the data is using Y-Sheets. And the reason why is because instead of just providing you with price data like many other tools out there, Y-Sheets also provides you with fundamental data such as financials, key metrics, and whatnot. So if you use Y-Sheets, you'll be able to get this data plus all the other data, so that way you don't need to use additional tools for any other type of stock analysis. With that being said, let me just show you how this works. So to get the data, we're going to use the WisePrice function. We have entire tutorials that you can check out on our channel on how this function works. In this case, we're going to keep it simple. So it's asking us for symbols or symbols. So in this case, we're going to select Apple, which is right here. Then we need to enter our parameter. The parameter that we're going to use to calculate the beta is the close. You could also use another parameter such as adjusted close or open or any other parameter available on Y-Sheets. variance, but in this case we'll keep it simple with the close. And then what it's going to ask us is what is the number of days that you like to get data for. So you could do that, or you could just enter specific start date and end date. To keep it dynamic, what I recommend that you do is to enter an actual number. So beta could be calculated yearly, could be calculated semi-annually. There's different ways of calculating beta. Typically what you find out there is to take the last 5 years. In order to take the 5 years, well, we know that a year has roughly 365 days. We'll multiply that by 5 years, and that is the number of days that we like to get data for. Once you have this, you can just click enter, and what's going to happen is that all the data is going to populate. So in this case we have the dates, and then you have the close for Apple. So this is great. And as you can see, if I scroll down, there's a ton of data because we're getting many different years. So just keep that in mind. And now what we need to do is we need to do exactly the same thing, but for the S&P 500. So the way we do it is exactly the same. So White's price, this is the ticker. We're also gonna get the close, and we're gonna get 365 times 5. And here we go. And now we also have the data for the S&P 500, which is in this case what we define as the market. Once you have that is in place, then all you need to do is calculate the percentage change of the price over time for the market as well as for the specific company. Now what we need to do is to calculate the percentage change, and in this case the percentage change formula comes in quite handy. So what we need to do is take the percentage change, which the formula is very simple. You take the latest value, which in this case this is the latest value, you can see based on the date, minus the previous value. And if you're wondering why this jumps from the 10th until the 13th, it's all based on the business days when the company trades. So on the weekends and stuff like that, there's no like data available. That's why there might be some jumps, but that's totally okay. Don't worry about that. So you take the latest value minus the previous value, and you divide that by the previous value. This will give you the percentage change of the price, in this case the close, over this 1 day period, or this one period that happened. After you do that, then you can change this into a percentage and apply the same formula just by double clicking here to all of the different values. So as you can see, we get this right here. And if I scroll to the very bottom, you'll see at the end, because there's no value here, you're gonna get this. So what you can simply do is just remove this. We go all the way to the top, and the way to do that is to use Command or Control depending on whether you're Mac or Windows, and then use the top arrow key. Now we're gonna apply the same formula to the S&P 500. So in this case we're gonna select this minus this divided by the previous value, which we can see here, turn it into a percentage, add 2 decimal places, double click. Now we have this ready. We're gonna go to the bottom, get rid of this division, and now we have all the data that we need to be able to calculate the beta. So what is the beta in this case for Apple? Well, let's do it. So the way you do it is, if you remember the formula, we're gonna start with the most simple method, which is the slope method. So good thing is that on Excel, Google Sheets, they already come with the slope formula. So now what you need to do is to be able to enter the change in one and the other. So now on the slope formula, all you need to do is enter the percentage change for Apple or whatever company you're analyzing. You can use Shift, Command, and then the down key to be able to select all the data, comma. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the very top, and now we're gonna use Shift, Command, or Control, depending on whether you're Mac or Windows. Down key. Now we're selecting all the data, close the bracket, click enter, and now we can just simply scroll up, and here we go. Now we have the beta value. We can also round it up to 2 decimal places, and this is the actual beta for Apple based on the assumptions that we made. So for example, the 5-year period, and in this case that we use the close. Before I show you the second method of calculating the beta for a particular security or stock in Excel, what I want to do is explain to you what the value actually means. So a beta value of 1, like if Apple were to have a beta value of 1, it basically means that the stock price for Apple moves exactly the same or very similar to that of the S&P 500 in this case. So in that case, the relationship of the two prices is very, very similar. If the beta were to be, like in this case, we know that the beta is 1.23. This means that Apple's stock price moves more than the market itself. So in general, it means that Apple is more volatile than the S&P 500. Of course, you can also imagine that if the value for the beta were to be 0.7, it means that it's less volatile than the S&P 500. Generally, what happens is that people consider securities that have a beta value greater than 1 to be a little bit more risky because the price can change and fluctuates at a higher degree than a standard index, whereas stock that has a beta value less than the S&P 500 means generally that is less risky because the price doesn't fluctuate just as much. Okay, so now that we've calculated beta on Excel using the slope method, now we're gonna move onto the covariance and the variance method. So the way that this works is very simple. You're gonna use the covariance formula, and in this case what you're gonna do, you can select the covariance P or the S. The answer is gonna be very similar. In this case I'm gonna go with the P, and the good thing is that Excel, Google Sheets, they already have these formulas in place. Once you do that, then you're gonna select again the percentage change, in this case for Apple, perfect, comma, and now we need the percentage change for the S&P 500. After you do that, this is going to automatically calculate the covariance between the percentage change of these two different values right here. And then after you do that, then you just need to calculate the variance, which in this case, you can see this is the function. And for this, you're gonna calculate it for just the market only. In this case, just for the S&P 500. So you're gonna select all the values, close the bracket, click enter. Now the value is being calculated. And now, in order to calculate the actual beta, remember, what you need to do is take the covariance divided by the variance, and this is going to give you the beta of the company. So you can see the numbers are extremely similar, regardless of the method that you use. So therefore, you can't really go wrong with either one. The one that I do recommend is the covariance variance method, just because that's the most typically used when calculating beta. But now you're an expert and you're able to calculate this number using both of these methods. Now what I want to share with you, which is really powerful, is how you can get the beta value automatically calculated for you, so you don't have to do this for every single company that you analyze. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the beta for all these different companies that we have in this list. This is just an example list, but you can get this for any companies that you like. The good thing is that with these methods, you'll be able to get companies across 50 plus global exchanges, so you should be able to get this for pretty much any company that you want to analyze. So I want to show you something cool. I set up this table that you can see right here, and now using the wise price function, which comes from Sheets, we have many tutorials on our channel that you can check out to see how Sheets works. We can use this function, so you can see it's asking for the symbol or the symbols. So in this case, we're going to enter all of these different symbols. Now it's asking for a parameter or parameters. So to know what parameters you can use from Sheets, you can go here, you can go to the wise price function, and then right here, if you click on available data, you will see what data is available for each function of Sheets. In this case, these are the parameters, so name, PE, and the beta. Once you have that, because this is real-time data, we don't need to enter anything else. Close the bracket, click enter, and just like this, you're gonna be able to get all the information that you're looking for. So you can see we have the company name, the PE, in this case, this is as dollars, so we don't need to do that. We can just keep it like this, and then we also get the beta value. Cool thing about this actually is that it seems that most of these companies right here are not very volatile, which makes sense because they're pharmaceuticals, and whether or not what happens out there in the world, people still need their medicine. But you get the idea. Now you can get the beta for any company that you want, and you can spot investment opportunities faster. And the best part about this method too is that since this is real-time data and changes all the time, you can just click on the refresh live data button right here, which is also available in the main menu. It's available everywhere, and as you can see, it will update and show you the latest data, so that way you can be up to date with all of the different stocks that you're analyzing or that you hold in your portfolio. Now you know how to calculate the beta for any stock or any security in Excel. If you've enjoyed enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications on so that way you get notified every time we release a new video like this. That's gonna allow you to take your investing game to the next level. I'll see you in the next one.